and gentlemen, please welcome the Interim Superintendent for McAllen ISD, Dr. Jay A. Gonzalez.
We're very, very happy to have all of you all here today, and it's beautiful to see a vision become a reality. Let's give a round of applause to everybody that made McTalks possible. Before we get started with our program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our school board for all of their hard work and their dedication to our district. We know that the countless hours that they put in away from their families, dedicated to providing our school with leadership so that we can all be better as an organization is something to be commended. So let's give our board a collective round of applause. We have our board president, Corrado Alvarado. Vice President, Tony Farina. Vice President is Larry Esparza. I apologize for that. Our board secretary is Tony Farina. We have board member Danny Vela. Board member Marco Suarez. Board member Jonathan Ball. And board member Sam Saldivar Jr. And we do appreciate all of their hard work and everything that they do for us. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our partners and all the people that made it possible in coming together to share the stories of McAllen, to make sure that we inspired each other through the stories, through the people that walked these halls, through the people that came to McAllen ISD. But I would like to send a special thank you to the City of McAllen. Thank you for your cooperation with us. Let's give the City of McAllen a round of applause. Mayor Jim Darling, thank you so much. We'd also like to thank the McAllen Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for your support. Mr. Steve Alenius, thank you. Also, we'd like to thank the McAllen Economic Development Corporation and Mr. Keith Padridge. Thank you for your support. And also a special thank you to the McAllen Education Foundation for everything that you do for us. Thank you for providing us with the funds necessary to give our students experiences that help them explore concepts beyond the classroom. We appreciate that. The McAllen Education Foundation raises funds that allows us to even give teachers professional learning opportunities that polishes their skills. So we appreciate the McAllen Education Foundation. And a special thank you to Annie Holland Miller and Tiffany Henderson for all that they're doing, along with Chris Rivera for being the president of that organization. Let's give them a round of applause. And to all the students in the auditorium today, as I look across the audience and I see our wonderful seniors, I can't help but be proud of each and every one of you, because I know that your journey from K to 12 wasn't an easy journey. And I know that you put in a lot of time and effort and a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of you are involved in athletics and fine arts and a lot of extracurricular activities. And it just proves that you have the resiliency to overcome obstacles. The vision and the mission and the purpose of McTalks is to make sure that we leverage the stories of all the people that walk the halls of McAllen ISD, because there's tremendous stories, and we know that when we share stories, we're able to inspire one another. And we're hoping it's the stories that are told today that will somehow tap into your heart and help you students as you move on to the next chapter of your life. Because seniors, you're on the last leg of your educational experience with McAllen ISD. We're confident that you're prepared to take on the world, regardless of whether you're going to a four-year college, regardless of whether you're going to pursue an associate's degree or a license or certificate, whether you're going to the military or into the workforce. We know that you're going to be a contributing factor. We know that you're going to be an engaged citizen, an ethical citizen, somebody that's going to have an entrepreneurial spirit, and that regardless of what team that you're on, that you're going to make a positive difference. We know that. As I look across the audience and I look at seniors, I start to think, these are our future medical doctors, our future engineers and architects, our future educators, our future servicemen and women, business people, people that are going to contribute to not only our community, but the communities across our great state and our great nation, and even across the world. So students, please know that life has ups and it has downs. There's happy times and there's sad times. But you can accomplish anything you want if you put your heart and your mind to it. I know that all of you have dreams. All of us have dreams. But dreams without goals are just dreams. So make sure that along that way you establish your yearly goals, your monthly goals, your weekly goals, your daily goals, your hourly goals, your minute-by-minute goals, and that you're able to begin with the end in mind and know that as you establish these goals that are specific and measurable, as you establish these goals toward the end of your accomplishment, that it's going to have to be driven through discipline and consistency. Discipline and consistency. So as you get to the next chapter of your life, and very soon you're going to be walking across the stage earning that high school diploma that you've worked so hard for. Very soon, you're going to hear the famous song. Da, 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 da. You'll be waving at your parents and your uncle and your aunt, and we all have that crazy uncle that's going to yell, "Hey!" You're going to be embarrassed. Then you're going to go to dinner with your family, and you're going to celebrate your graduation, and the next day you're going to wake up and realize that you have your whole life ahead of you. We're hoping that something that you learned today will help you get through that next journey. And we know that the individuals that we're going to bring to the stage today for our McTalks have wonderful stories and a testament to the fact that discipline and consistency are key, and a testament to the fact that anything's possible when you work hard. We have distinguished speakers today that have accomplished great things over their lives, and we're so proud of them. The McAllen Education Foundation has identified these three individuals as distinguished alumnus, distinguished individuals. Our first speaker that will be coming to us is Mrs. Linda McGurk. She has been a principal at McAllen Elementary for the last 24 years. Mrs. McGurk has done a tremendous job leading an organization and providing students with a world-class education by building a team of educators that were very, very passionate about teaching, and by inspiring students to learn, and by making sure that when a parent dropped off their most precious gift, their children, that those parents could walk away and go to work knowing that their children were going to be educated and loved just like they were their own. Mrs. McGurk has earned many honors as a leader. McAllen Elementary has earned many honors as an institution. But the most important thing is that Ms. Linda McGurk provided leadership with heart, she provided leadership with love, and she created an environment where people could prosper, where elementary students were prepared for middle school and high school, and ultimately life. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our first McTalk speaker, Mrs. Linda McGurk.
Thank you. Wow. Good morning, boys and girls. This is a little intimidating, I must say. I'm used to talking to very little people, 4-year-olds up to 10-year-olds, so I might be a little intimidated by high school seniors. You know, you all have reached a point in your life, a wonderful point, where I think your character is formed, you have morals, you have values. You know, I hear laughter, you do have values, morals. You know right from wrong, and you're getting ready to embark on a chapter of your life where you're going to have a lot of responsibility for yourself and your actions. They announced, they said, I've been at my school for a very long time. I've been an elementary principal there for 24 years. And it's like, why did she stay there so long? Why didn't she go do another job? Or maybe she doesn't know how to do another job. But I love what I do. And I think that's one of the things I want to talk to you about today, is finding that passion that desire that what you want to do. I remember when I was in high school and even in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So my parents, my dad's family were immigrants, not from Mexico, but from Belgium. My grandparents migrated over from Belgium with one child. They were farmers, and they came into New York City, Ellis Island, were checked in, and they made their life in the United States. They started working their way down the United States. They had 4 more children, and they were born in the different states as they moved down. They finally settled here in the valley because at that time the land was very reasonable and they could farm. So they bought property, and I grew up out in the country, lived on a gravel road, rode the school bus, but it was like a little community. My dad's house with property, my uncle's house with property, my grandparents' house, and they didn't go to college. My mother did not go to college. She was a high school graduate, but my dad got to go to 1 year of college. But college was expected in our family. You know, they wanted their children to have it better, at least be better educated than they were. In high school, I was a very conscientious student. I was one of those ones that did everything I was supposed to do, did my homework, studied, did all of my assignments. I ended up graduating valedictorian of my class. I wasn't the smartest. I know I wasn't the smartest because, you know, you kind of know who the smart kids are. It comes a little easier to them, but I worked very hard, I did everything, and I got good grades. High school were good years for me. I did learn a lesson, I think, about relationships that I'd like to share with you. I had a boyfriend for all those years of high school, a steady boyfriend. And at the time, I didn't really realize, until my senior year, I guess I smartened up my senior year, but he was very possessive. He was always wanting to question me on where did I go during the day, who did I sit by, who did I talk to, what did we talk about? And that was kind of my life all through high school. And then I finally realized, you know, that relationship was not good for me. It was kind of holding me back. I'm a person, I like people. I like to talk to people. And so I did realize at the end of my senior year that that was not good. So I think my suggestion to you is look at the relationships in your life at this time. Are your friends bringing out the best in you? Do they have your back? Are they there for you? If you need help with a problem, are they there to help you solve that problem? After high school, like I said, I knew I needed to go to college, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to study and what I was going to be. So my best friend and I were both had plans to go to the University of Texas in Austin. But at the last minute, I got cold feet and decided I'll stay at the local college, which at that time was called Pan Am University, or Pan Am College in those days, that I would stay there and for at least 1 year. So I did and registered for classes, and like I said, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I took kind of the basics, but then I decided to take French. I had taken Spanish for 2 years, and of course it would have been a smarter move to stay with Spanish, but I didn't. I enrolled in a French class, but it turned out to be a really good thing. Maybe somebody was watching out for me, because French class had all the new student boy athletes. All the basketball players were in French. So, you know, and I didn't have a boyfriend because I had ditched the high school boyfriend. So, it worked out really great. Actually, those of you who know me well, I found a new boyfriend in that class, a boy from New York City, big old basketball player, and we went together. Needless to say, I never made it to UT. I decided Pan Am was where I needed to get my education, and we started going out, and hey, I decided I needed to be a cheerleader because I wanted to follow that basketball team, and it ended up, it was great because that was the basketball team that ended up being national champions for NAIA, which is small colleges. At that time, they won the national championship in Kansas City. So college was good. My boyfriend, who I later married, was a year ahead of me. So I figured, I had to get out of college fast because I didn't want him going back to New York without me. So I went on the FAST plan. I graduated from college in 3 years. I would go every semester and go all summer. He would go away in the summer to, I know one summer he went and played the Russians, and he always had activities in the summer, so I was left behind. So I would go to school year-round. I graduated from college when I was 20. In June, I turned 21, and in July, we got married. So, and it's good, we're still married, but but I wouldn't recommend, don't go to college in 3 years, because I didn't want to open another book after I got through with those 3 years. So, and then I ended up going back to college to get my master's in mid-management to be a principal when I was 40 and had 3 children and a full-time job and a husband, and it was hard. So my advice to you is take your time in college. Of course, your parents won't want you on a long plan. They'll want you on the 4-year plan. 2 of my boys were on the 5-year plan. But, go to college, make the most of it. It's such a neat time in your life. Being a high school senior is a neat time. But college, you have all that freedom which you have to be able to handle. No one's going to tell you time to get up, time to go to bed. Have you done your homework? Where's your this? You go away to school and you are totally on your own. Are you ready to handle that? Have you figured out how you're going to balance your work, your studies, and your social life? Are you a procrastinator? I kind of am, but I know that about myself. When Jay gives us, Dr. Gonzalez, as administrators, we have assignments and things that are due, a lot of things that are due. So you have to learn how to keep yourself organized. Maybe you might want to get a job. Sometimes those part-time jobs when you're in college help you because, when your classes can be days apart, and then you always think, well, I don't need to do it today. Look, hey, I've got all day tomorrow. And then something comes up, and it's time to go to class, and you haven't done it. I used to have that recurring dream that it was time for the final exam, and I wasn't even sure which book we were using. So, be organized. The other kind of a closing thought I want to leave you with is know yourself. Know what you're good at. Know what your strengths are. Do you like to work with people? Or do you like to work with computers, numbers, machines? Is medicine your interest? Would you want to be someone who counsels people? Would you want to be a teacher? You know, take the time to really get to know yourself, and then when you decide what you want to study, what you want to be, then put your best effort, dedicate yourself to that career, and then you'll be the best that you can be, and you'll be a very successful person. So, go seniors. Good luck to all of you.
One more round of applause for Mrs. McGurk. What a wonderful story, and we're hoping that you took something from that, seniors, that's going to help you accomplish your dreams. Our next speaker is a bulldog. Let's give him a round of applause, a bulldog. Dr. Jay Schapira currently lives in Beverly Hills. He's one of the best cardiologists in the world. He went to UT Austin, went to Baylor Medicine, and we're very proud of everything that he's done. And he practices out of Los Angeles. He has taught at the University at UCLA. He's written books. He's written many articles. And he's a testament to the fact that hard work pays off. And he's a testament to the fact that all of you in this audience can accomplish your dreams if you're willing to put in the hard work, and if you're willing to study, and if you're willing to work hard. He's also recognized as a distinguished alumnus by the McAllen Education Foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our next speaker, Dr. Jay Schapira.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I can't see you. I hope you can see me, the bright lights. I'm not going to stand in front of that sign. It says A+. That was not me. So if I get there, you tell me, and I'll move aside. The beautiful set here is so inspiring, and I thank you guys for having me and for listening for a few minutes. The one thing wrong with this stage is that they called us all distinguished alumnus, myself, Dr. Ramirez, who you'll meet in a few minutes. The one problem is that there should be thousands of distinguished alumnus up here. We are just the first examples of what you're going to see over the years in this community. And it's such a different community than when I went to school here. I graduated in 1965. My view of you guys is that you are the luckiest generation in the history of education of the McAllen Independent School District. I will tell you that it was much different when I went to school here. We had a definite deficit here in terms of the best teachers, the best facilities, the best students, which I wasn't, big deficit. But what we had here was a nucleus of people, my parents, your grandparents, who were interested in education. And it doesn't improve immediately. It takes generations. It takes a lot of work. It's hard work. And the foundation, the other people that Dr. Gonzalez introduced are doing a tremendous job for you guys. And believe me, you may not appreciate it now, but you will. So my story is certainly not glamorous in high school. So I'm really talking to you guys, and I'll describe myself. If you are the shortest person to graduate in your class, which I was, 5'2", if you wore thick glasses at the time, if you had very few friends, then that was me. So I'm talking to you guys who are not the coolest kids. I'm talking to you guys who are not the best students. I'm talking to you guys who realize one thing at this point, just one thing, one message. Hard work. That's all it takes. You don't have to be the smartest, the the best looking, the coolest, just hard work. So when I finished McAllen High School, I went to University of Texas at Austin, Bulldog to a Longhorn, found a huge problem with the ability to compete with the students from the larger high schools in Dallas and Houston. They were so much better educated. I don't think you're going to have that problem. From what I can see here, you guys have every advantage. You have every facility. You have every resource. And it sounds like everything is made available to you, and that's a huge advantage. So no longer you're at a deficit. You will go to college, but you're not going to know everything. It's going to be insecure. You're going to have fears. But know that you had a good background. And if you love to learn, and you've learned to love to learn, you're going to do fine. You can always find things that will challenge you, that will perplex you, that will make you sad, that will make you happy. Try it all. Enjoy the experience of college. Try things that you don't think that you're going to like. You may like them. You will find eventually the one thing that is your passion. And to be successful, you have to have a passion. It has to make you happy. It has to be fun. I'll get to what I do for a living in a few minutes. But I get up every day, can't wait to get to work, can't wait to get to my office. I have fun all day long, and I quit only because I just get exhausted. Start the next day the same way. So it is a matter of find your passion. Find what is fun. Find what, don't want to stand in front of that A+ sign. Find what gives you just a feeling like you've done some good for humanity. Once you identify that, and try a lot of different things. Try things you think you're going to dislike because you might surprise yourself and find something that you love. Once you find that that's your passion, you will then figure out how to do it, on what level to do it. Let's say, for example, you like medicine. You don't want long hours. You don't want the responsibility and the headaches of being a physician. There are many allied health fields that you can go into. Let's say that you like teaching. You could be a teacher. You could be a textbook writer. You could be a superintendent of schools. There's a lot of things that you can do. So that find an area that gives you passion that you love. Now, in doing that, it doesn't require that you're the smartest guy here. It doesn't require that you made A+ in high school. It's that you're willing to put in the hard work. For grades, hard work is important, intelligence is important, but that's not what success is about. Success is about just the hard work. So there is no student in this room, I would bet, who is not capable of working hard. If you're capable of working hard, you're going to be successful at your profession. Now, I say that as a challenge because I refuse to accept in my own kids, I have 4, we have 4, that they say, oh, something's too hard or I can't do this. That's just not true. You can do it. Just put the work in. If it takes you a little bit longer, fine. No problem. You have time. Now, in college, it was hard for me at first because I was behind, because I came from a different McAllen high school, not this high school. This high school is a different story. So you're going to find yourselves in whatever you do, whether it's college, whether it's a vocation, whether it's the military, you're going to find yourself in a position where hard work can make you successful. Now, my own story is I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went to the University of Texas at Austin, had a horrible first semester. It was a disaster. But it wasn't as bad as the second one. The second one was worse. So, had to talk with my parents, had to talk with my draft board, and I realized the alternative was buckle down or get a free one-way trip probably to Vietnam. So I decided to buckle down. And that's when I learned my lesson. You have these talks with yourself, like Mrs. McGurk said, and you say, self, I can do this, and this becomes your ability. This becomes what you're going to do throughout your life to make yourself work hard and make yourself actually succeed at whatever you want to do. Second year better, third year better. Fourth year, got into every medical school I applied to. Obviously, I turned myself around. Decided to go to Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. It was great. Small class, lots of attention, lots of professors. It was the best. And only then did I start to realize, looking back at high school, what had happened to me. Because I had the advantage. Why should you guys listen to me? And I'm older than you. I graduated, 50 years ago. Why should you listen to me? Because oftentimes paths are not so clear when you're trying to go through them and you've never been there before. But when you turn around and look back, you can see the things that were important, the milestones, the important decisions. I look back at that point and I said, what really turned me around? Was it fear of failure? Well, of course. Was it afraid of not having a fulfilled life? Well, of course. But what inspired me was a seventh grade math teacher at Lamar Junior High School in those days, who turned on the light bulb. A math teacher, Mr. Anthus, who just was a gifted teacher, and he just taught me how to think and how to approach things. And I look back to this day and say that was the time that turned me on. So with McAllen High School gave me just the moment in time that propelled me forward. After my internship, residency at Baylor on the Texas Medical Center, we moved to Palo Alto, California, to Stanford, where I learned to do things that I'd never thought that I was capable of before. I certainly wasn't that student over there, but I found that I could do things. And I still don't consider myself to be that student. I consider myself to be a guy who can work hard. There is nobody here that can't work hard. You don't have to be that student. You can achieve whatever you want. My current life is I practice interventional cardiology. And what that is that's a subspecialty where patients come in with heart attacks. They're usually seriously ill or about to die. We go inside their heart with these little tubes called catheters. We open up their arteries, and suddenly they just come back to life. There's no more gratifying job in the world that I could imagine for myself. I found my niche. That's why I'm so happy when I go to work every day. And I find that in my work, there is no greater gratification that you get than helping another human being. All the things we have around us, our most important connection is to other people, not to things, but to people. Help a person, you help yourself. Help a person, you help society. Help a person, you'll save the world. And you get such a gratification from that, but it's not just medicine. I'm just one example. You guys will find your own example and your own inspiration. I look back on McAllen as a great start. This is a great community. It's filled with wonderful, nice people. And these wonderful, nice people have taken it upon themselves to give you guys a wonderful foundation for education. I am blown away by what I see in this high school compared to when I went to this high school. I grew up 2 blocks from here. Used to walk to school every day, and it's just amazing what has happened. You guys are the luckiest McAllen graduates in history. So, I am sorry to be up here doing this monologue. I would love to have a dialogue with you. I would like to be able to talk to you guys and to answer your questions. I would like to talk to the people who are not the A+ students. I would like to talk to the people who don't feel gifted or special, who have not excelled or been lauded or have been, honored. This is not a comfortable place for me to be honored as a distinguished alumnus. I think there should be thousands and thousands of other people up here, like I said. But I guess I'm just an example of a lot of other people. So that I really want to talk to you guys who don't consider yourself special. You can do it. I want to encourage you. And I want you all to remember that regardless of what you choose, regardless of how you feel that you're not the best, the smartest, the brightest, the best looking, you can succeed in every single way that you try, as long as you put the work in. Questions, please. No questions. You got it? Okay, thank you very much.
One more round of applause for Dr. Jay Schapira. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Doctor. We appreciate it very much. We're very proud of all the accomplishments. Our first two speakers are a testament to hard work and determination, discipline and consistency, all the things that you're going to have to do, students, to accomplish your dreams. But one thing is for sure, you will accomplish your dreams when you make your mind up that that's going to happen. McAllen ISD has prepared you to compete with anybody, anywhere, and we're confident of that. But it doesn't take away the fact that you're going to have to work hard, and I hope that that's one message that you're taking to heart. Our next speaker is another great example of what McAllen ISD produces. Dr. Mario Luis Ramirez is a medical doctor who graduated from McAllen Memorial High School in 1998. Go Mustangs. He was a state champion on his Constitution team. He went on to Stanford, went on to earn a medical degree at Harvard University and another degree in government from Harvard University. He currently lives in Washington, D.C. He's doing great things around the world. He's a veteran who served in the Air Force. He did missions in Afghanistan where he did emergency surgeries on soldiers. He's a marksman. He's received many medals of honor. And we're very, very proud of everything that Dr. Mario Luis Ramirez has done for the world. And we're very proud that he comes from McAllen ISD. And we're excited to hear his story. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Mario Luis Ramirez.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here. It's really great to be home in the Valley. And I really appreciate you guys spending some of your time with me this morning. It's great to see some of my old teachers out in the crowd. And I think they asked me to maybe tell my story just a little bit different since I graduated not too long ago. I thought maybe I would tell you about how my life unfolded a little bit after I left McAllen, and hopefully leave you guys with a couple of thoughts to think about as you get ready to embark on this next stage of your own lives. I think you'll hear a lot of similar echoes between my life and that of Dr. Schapira and Ms. McGurk. So, one of the things that really stands out among all of us, I think, is what makes McAllen unique, what makes McAllen ISD so special, is that when you come from McAllen, you come from a place where your teachers know you. You're part of a community that is different if you come from a big city. I used to remember walking around at Memorial High School and all my teachers saying hi to me, asking me how my day was going, what was going on in class. And one of those classes, like Dr. Gonzalez mentioned, left me with an incredible experience that I think went on to shape what I would do professionally since then. As you mentioned, I was part of our school's Constitution team that won the state championship and went up to Washington, D.C. And I had been to Washington before to go and see monuments and the sites, But that was the first time we ever met with members of Congress, people from the Supreme Court, and somebody there, I can't remember exactly who it was, left me with something that I think stayed with me. And they said, this country, this place is what it is because people are willing to give their time to make it a better place. The veterans, the people who serve in Congress, the voters, those are the people who shape our community and make it what it is. And at the time, I thought, that's really unique. I mean, I think maybe that really is what America's about, and it'd be great to sort of figure out how that's gonna sort of work into my life someday. So I graduated from Memorial High School, and I'd gone off to Stanford, and I had been a good student at Memorial. Graduated with a great GPA and sort of felt like I was ready. And similar to Dr. Schapira, I was incredibly humbled that first semester. I had gone off as a pre-med student, thought for sure that I was going to go to medical school, and got a big fat C right off the bat in my chemistry class. So that I just, maybe I don't have it figured out. Let me work at this a little more. And the only thing that was worse was the next semester. And I got a C minus. And that continued over and over again for the rest of the year. And at the same time that I was sort of struggling my way through this first year, I had also started rowing on the university rowing team, which was a great experience and sort of helped me form a community of friends out there. But as I got to the end of my freshman year, there were two talks that left me with a lot to think about that first summer. So the first was my college chemistry professor, and he called me and he said, Mario, what are you going to do with your life? So I think I want to go to medical school. And he sat me down, and he looked at me and he said, you need to really think about that, because with the grades that you have so far, there's no medical school in this country that's going to take you. Those are hard words to hear, because the problem wasn't that I wasn't trying. The problem was that I was trying as hard as I could, and I was still failing. Similarly, I walked into my crew coach's office, and he said, it's all great that you've been on the freshman team and you've been in the freshman boat, but you've got to understand that you're the shortest guy on this team. And next year, there's a good chance that you're not going to make the squad if you don't show up ready the first day next year. So that gave me a lot to think about. And I moved down to Austin. I took a job washing glassware at a laboratory. And it gave me a lot of time alone. And I was worried I had left McAllen. I had, the faith of so many of my teachers that had invested all of their time in me and wanted to make me a success and wanted me to do well. But I learned that it couldn't just be about that. If I was really going to go back and try to do what I had set out to do, I was going to have to work really, really hard, like Dr. Schapira mentioned. And there was no substitute for that. There's no shortcuts. So I think I lived at the library for my second and third years. I had a dorm room, but I pretty much just kept clothes there. And that was an incredible experience. The next semester I went back, I actually got a B. That was like the greatest thing ever. And then slowly, by just sort of continuing to work at it, things got a little better. I made the JV boat and then sort of stuck with it and made it onto the varsity crew eventually. And by the time I was a senior, I'd picked my grades up and I applied to medical school and I got into the University of Michigan. So I was driving up to Ann Arbor. I had an apartment, I had football tickets, I was ready to be a Wolverine. And my phone rang, and it was the dean at Harvard Medical School, and he called, and he said, we've had a spot that's opened up off of the wait list. Are you interested in coming to Boston? So I decided I would go. So I literally turned my car and started driving to Boston. And I think, like Dr. Schapira mentioned, that was one of the first times that I got to a place and realized that coming from McAllen is totally different than coming from some of these other places. Some of these places are full of students who come from really privileged backgrounds and had access to every educational resource you can imagine. And back when we came through McAllen ISD, it was a lot different. You guys have access to so much more than we did back then. But it was really different. And so I got there, and that was right around the same time that 9/11 happened. And like a lot of people, I think that was just an incredible experience that, of course, went on to shape our nation, but shaped what I would do with my life professionally. So as I was going through my first year in medical school, I was working as a researcher in a lab, and I would work and I'd have the radio on, and there was a lot of discussion about the war, where was our country going, and what were we gonna do? And it sort of brought back memories of that first conversation that I'd talked about and that we'd heard up in Washington, D.C., where everybody has a responsibility to serve. You know, we all have a part of this country. So after working all that time to finally get into medical school, I decided the best thing to do would be to leave. So I took a leave of absence from medical school. My parents were not excited about this, and decided I would go study international relations for a couple of years. So I went over to one of the other Harvard schools. I was really fortunate that they let me in. And we started studying like homeland preparedness and trying to get the country ready for the next attack. And I had a small role, but a little role in trying to understand how we could do that. How do we position things around the country, specifically for kids, to make sure that we have a response plan in place? And then from there, I went to go and work at a think tank in DC, and I'm not sure that I totally understand what a think tank does, but in that case, I sat around and basically wrote papers for a summer, but it was about the Middle East. And at that time, it was about something that nobody really was interested in. That was about Syria and chemical weapons. Now, of course, we know that that's become something we all care about. So I decided I would go back to medical school at the end of that. You know, I was still trying to figure out how I was going to combine this interest in service and now some of this background in national security with medical practice. So I went back and I decided I was going to be an emergency medicine doctor. I really liked the fast pace. I liked not knowing what was going to come through the door next. And I ended up in Nashville, Tennessee, which was a great place to be. It had a lot of long nights, long days. Being a resident is a hard job, and you know, certainly plenty of people have gone through that before me. But as I got to the tail end of that, I was trying to figure out how could I get back to this idea of wanting to serve something bigger. And I'd had the chance to interact with a lot of different members from the police force because of the work that Vanderbilt does. We get a lot of trauma from around the state. And I thought, it'd be really great if I could do some work for the police. I mean, you know, these people go out in the middle of the night and do incredibly brave things to keep us all safe. So I started volunteering at the police academy and teaching first aid for the new cadets as they were coming through. And then started doing some field work for the SWAT and the bomb units, which was great. It was pretty exciting. And so I did that for a year while I was waiting for my wife, who's also a physician, to finish her own training. But at the end of that, I didn't feel like I wasn't doing what I had been trained to do. I had been to great schools, I had great training, but none of that stuff matters if you don't go out and use it and do something with it. So I waited until my wife was at work one day, and I went and met with an Air Force recruiter. If you're ever gonna join the military, don't do it that way. But that was how I did it. So I went and met with a recruiter, and I came home and I told my wife sort of after the fact, and I said, something exciting happened today. We joined the Air Force. So we joined up, and we moved out to Washington, D.C., which is where we live now. I was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base. And in 2012, I deployed to Afghanistan, and I was what's called a CCAT team leader, or Critical Care Air Transport Team. And a CCAT team is basically one doctor, one nurse, and one respiratory therapist, and you work as a team to go and pick up the most critically injured patients that have been injured either in bomb blasts, firefights, pretty much the worst things that you can think of. And so for 6 months, I had the incredible honor of taking care of the men and women who wear our uniform. And there's one story that really sort of sticks out. So there's a coffee shop at the base at Bagram, and people can send or donate cups of coffee to the soldiers, and you get like an email message with it. And so my team and I were getting ready to go out one night. We would fly at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're gonna go pick up some troops who'd been pretty badly injured. And I got this email, and it was from a dad, and he said, "Dear soldier, my son was killed in Afghanistan in 2005. And I don't know what you're doing, but I hope that you're staying safe, and I hope that you won't let his death be in vain." And so I wrote him back, and I said, "We'll make sure that that's not the case. Our job is to go out and make sure that we bring everyone home." And so all of the training, all of the education, and all of the hard work, and all the time that my teachers, going all the way back to McAllen, had put into me came down to that one moment. It was the best job I've ever had. So I left the Air Force in 2014. I came home, finished up my tour in DC. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And so I applied for this program called the White House Fellows Program, which is an amazing program and something that I would put on all of your radars. And I hope we have many more applicants and eventual fellows from McAllen. But the White House Fellows Program is a great program that tries to take young persons and give them exposure to the highest levels of government with the hopes that they'll go back to their communities. And so I applied to this program. I was really fortunate to be selected, and I served with 14 other people. And I worked as a special assistant directly to Secretary Burwell at the Department of HHS, or Health and Human Services in Washington. And last year was a really exciting time to be there. I spent the first 6 months as a big part of the Ebola operation. So there was a moment where we really thought we were going to get a lot of cases here in the United States. And I was part of a big team of people who were involved in what was going on there. But I had a small piece. And it was an amazing experience to sort of have a hand in working at a really hard problem. And for me, I think the highlight of that year, there was a moment where my principal said, "Mario, I'm going to go and talk to the president in an hour, and I need to know if what we're going to talk about is legitimate, if we can really do this." And that's just, going back to that original discussion at Constitution Team, it was like the coolest thing that I think could have ever happened to me. So after I finished my time working on Ebola, I spent another 6 months directing one of their offices that focuses on emerging infections around the world. And that, in turn, led me to what I do now. So I'm part of a group, a team, who work at an organization called Health Security Partners. And Health Security Partners is a nonprofit in Washington, D.C., and we work to engage students and scientists around the world in places like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Indonesia, the Philippines. And we work with these scientists to make sure that the work that they're doing is in line with what U.S. interests are, and to make sure that they're doing responsible science that isn't going to sort of let something out of the lab that we need to be worried about. But it's also about engaging with other students and sort of making them see the promise of tomorrow and the great work that they can do, and bringing them into the international community. So that's what I do now. And I thought that I would leave you guys maybe with just 3 short reflections based on that story that hopefully will mean something to you. I think the first is similar to what Ms. McGurk and Dr. Schapira said, which is that this next stage of your life, these college years, are some of the best years of your life. You will have so much fun. But at the same time, you may find that you're working incredibly hard. And you may find that even despite some of that hard work, you still might fail. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to mess up. But if you can figure out how to use that fear to make yourself work harder, you might find that you're able to do more than you thought you could do. The second I would say is that take the time to build your communities and that social fabric that is critical to who we are. Like I said, I think that's what it means to come from a place like McAllen, that we have a social fabric and we have a community here. Because one day, no matter where life takes you, you might find yourself in Afghanistan, you might find yourself in the military, and those are the only things, those relationships, that social fabric is the only thing that you might have to lean on in some really dark times. And then the third and final thing that I'll say is that I would urge you guys to take some time to serve, whether it's in the military or whether it's in the government or whether it's in your community or your church. Like I said, this community, our community, this country is what it is because people are willing to spend their personal time to make it a better place. And I think as you guys get ready to embark on that next stage of life, I hope that you'll hopefully place the same value on that I do. So I wish you guys all the luck. If there's ever anything that I can do for you, they have my contact information. Certainly, please let me know. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Dr. Mario Luis Ramirez. As we close our event today, our first McTalks, students, first and foremost, I want you to know that this event, McTalks, is for you because we love you and we know that the sky's the limit for you all. We know that one day down the road, you're going to be able to say that on April 15, 2016, I was a senior and I went to the auditorium and I heard from 3 distinguished speakers. And they told me their story, and that story inspired me. And I know that one day, some of you will be on this stage giving a McTalk about what it took to accomplish your goal, your dream. You'll be up here as a medical doctor. You'll be up here as an astronaut. You'll be up here as a distinguished educator, as a PhD, as a college professor, as a distinguished serviceman or woman, or a very successful businessman or a businesswoman, because that's our story. That's what McTalks is all about. It's about telling stories and gaining steam, gaining momentum from hearing that other people could do it. Because I can tell you, as I chased my dreams of fulfilling my goals in the area of academics, just like our distinguished speakers, it took a lot of hard work and dedication. But if I can do it, you can do it too. If our distinguished speakers did it, you can do it too. Because McAllen ISD has prepared you to do that. Before we break, I do want to thank our theater arts department at McAllen High School, Jason Barrera, and the techs up with the lights. Thank you all so much. Let's give them a round of applause for putting this together. Also, I'd like to thank our facilities maintenance and operation department for creating these beautiful McTalk letters, custom built. Ruben Trevino and his division, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Norma Zamora Guerra and Community Informations for making all this happen with all the sound and the cameras and everything else. Thank you all so much. And once again, to our distinguished guests, let's give all 3 one more round of applause. I can say with all the confidence in the world that our first McTalks were world-class, phenomenal, and will benefit them for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and have a wonderful day.